There's something we've been noticing lately. Every week, it feels like another public figure disappoints us. Another leader is questioned. Another teacher is exposed. Or another institution shows its cracks. And even if we weren't deeply invested in that person or that thing or that organization, something still shifts inside of us. It can be like a tightness in the chest, or like this bracing feeling, or even kind of a fatigue that just feels heavier the more headlines we read. And that's what I want to talk about today. Not the gossip, not the personalities, but the body's reaction. Because right now, at this moment in history, this is a nervous system moment. From the time that we were all very young, authority equals safety. Our parents, teachers, doctors, our religious leaders, our government, these are all examples of authority figures. Authority signals structure, predictability, and containment. Even as adults, we are wired. Still, it doesn't disappear. So when a leader falls, whether that's in politics, wellness, spirituality, or in business, the body reacts to that. It registers, is anyone actually steady? Can I trust what I'm being told? It wonders, like, is anything solid? Is the ground here actually underneath my feet? Is it still here? And that uncertainty can make us feel very, very, very destabilized. And for many of us, the body will respond with a tightness in the chest, shallow breathing, restlessness, or my personal favorite, cynicism, and just emotional fatigue. And not necessarily because we idolized someone who, fell off of their pedestal, but because instability accumulates. So let's pause here for a moment. Even just what I've brought up so far, just notice what your body is feeling right now as I say the following. Do you feel a subtle tightening? Do you feel a quickening heartbeat? Do you feel tension in your shoulders? Okay, so maybe it's about what I've said, or maybe it's the podcast, but maybe it's simply about me calling out what you're feeling that's accumulating from all the things you're reading in the media, from all the things people are saying about the world around you. It's like your body is just recognizing this familiar pattern that authority feels shaky and your nervous system is bracing. So we often overlook that signal. We try to think our way out of it. There's a lot of things we try to do to control this. But here's the truth. You can only trick your body so much. Our minds are very powerful, but they cannot permanently override the body's wisdom. The body knows what the mind doesn't. And right now, your body is telling you something important. Your internal sense of safety and discernment matters more than any external leader. There's another layer to this, though. We tend to project our certainty on people who speak confidently, especially in wellness, spirituality, and like leadership spaces. So if somebody appears calm and grounded or intelligent, we unconsciously assign them more than expertise. We will assign them wholeness or moral clarity or unshakable insight. But the problem is the expertise in one domain does not equal perfection in all domains. There's no human being that can be the container for your stability. When we make someone else that container, our own fragility grows, both for them and for us. Because eventually every human being reveals their humanity. If you study literature, you can see this, that there's no human being on the planet who is perfect. And eventually people reveal their humanity. And when they do, if we've fused our sense of safety to them, the body's going to react to that. This is one of those moments. This is like one of those moments from the Barbie movie where, she starts in this world that seems perfect and everything's scripted and everybody knows their role and she's behaving in a certain way and she's expected to behave in a certain way. And, she goes along with it. She trusts that the system has all the answers. And gradually that paradigm starts to crumble and she begins to see the cracks in the quote unquote perfect world. And the rules don't make sense. The structure is not nearly as stable as she believed it was. And the authorities around her are not infallible. And this is she could panic, she could freak out, she could cling to the old system, she could outsource her sense of certainty to somebody else. But instead, she starts to listen, not to what anyone else tells her, not to a script, and not even to the voice in her head, but to her own instincts, her curiosity, and the sensations in her body. So she begins to make choices that are feeling right to her, even when they're scary, uncertain, or outside the old framework. This is hard for us to understand because we're not taught that our feelings are important and that our body sensations are important. But, it's an internal authority in action. So what Barbie was doing by listening to her body, she's reclaiming her own guidance instead of giving it away to like a system or a narrative or some figure outside of herself that isn't reliable and isn't always going to be reliable. Maybe might be reliable in one moment, but isn't going to be universally reliable for her. So if you notice what's happening, her clarity, her courage, and her ability to navigate that chaos, they don't come from a guru that gives her the perfect rules to follow. They come from embodiment and curiosity and self-trust. And that's exactly what I'm encouraging us to do in our lives when external leaders, institutions, and cultural ideals that you may have believed were superior to other cultures fail to give you certainty. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Part of the tight chest that we feel when leaders disappoint us is not at all about them. It's about how much of our certainty we outsourced to them. It's about how much internal authority we gave away. And that's not shameful. It's human because we all want anchors. We all want someone steady when the world feels chaotic. And it's not a bad thing to want. It's just stability can't be borrowed permanently. It has to be built internally. And it's not it's not that hard. You just have to remember to do it and have the courage to do it, which is like noticing your body's signals when something feels slightly off, when there's a subtle contraction happening, when you override a feeling because someone seems, charismatic or respected. Because your body often knows before your mind does. It doesn't care about reputation. It cares about coherence. It's like, does this person say things that align with how they move? Does their energy feel regulated? Do I feel a certain way in their presence? Signals are subtle, but they're real. When you override them repeatedly, the body tightens. So returning back to that chest, okay? If you feel that tightness that was there before, just notice it. Don't fix it. You don't need to interpret it. Just notice that a tightness in the chest, it just says, I don't feel fully safe. And safety doesn't only mean physical danger. It can mean I don't feel certain. It can mean I don't feel grounded or I don't feel steady. And when we feel that way, we think about reaching outside of us. We think about trying to find something else to grab onto to get that, right? Find a better leader, find a clean narrative, find someone who's unblemished. There's got to be someone out there who's a good guru, a good teacher, a good authority figure, right? That search, though, it can become endless because humans are human and no one is perfect. And eventually, everybody that you've idolized and everybody that you believe is up on some pedestal above you is going to fall. And real stability, it comes from strengthening your own internal authority. So, hold that nuance without collapsing. Allow yourself to be disappointed without spiraling, and continue to be discerning without getting cynical. I think that's a hard one, right? Because if you take the position of like, well, everybody's flawed, we're all, it's that's also part of the beauty. And by the way, I am not saying this to especially with a lot of the things that are going on in the world now. I'm not saying any of this to justify anybody else's behavior. I'm merely trying to have us reflect on our own sense of security when that feels rocked, when someone that we trusted turns out to not be the steady, reliable presence that we thought they were. Okay. But cynicism, it feels quite protective, but it's actually a collapse response. Discernment's way steadier. And, you can still respect someone's work and still question their behavior. You can learn from someone without idealizing them, which is a huge thing in the industry that I come from, right? How many people think that their wellness leader is their guru? Like, how many people think their wellness leader is their spiritual teacher? Those are not necessarily the same thing. Somebody who studies, how to make you digest your food better is not necessarily the same person who's going to, tell you about the mysteries of the universe and be a spiritual teacher. So you can withdraw trust without losing yourself. That's like adult stability. That's what we do as adults. And we are living in a time where authority structures are being questioned everywhere. This is not going to go away. And I know it can feel exhausting, but it is also an invitation to mature our relationship to power. Okay. So stop confusing charisma with integrity. Stop equating confidence with wisdom, and stop assuming that spiritual language equals moral development. They're not the same thing. So just come back to something quieter, like your own embodied signal, your own steadiness, your own capacity to stay grounded when this culture shakes like it's happening right now. There's a Rumi quote from one of the Rumi poems. I always come back to it. It says, "Not until faithfulness turns to betrayal and betrayal into trust can any human being become part of the truth." And I wish that there was like one single truth of the world and we could all latch onto it and we would have this perfect knowing of what is good and true all the time. I wish there was just this one, this one person we could believe in, this one idea, this one mantra that we could chant, where we could always have certainty, where we could always know the truth. But when we're dealing with people are human. We fail. We're also amazing. Again, I'm not trying to minimize behavior of anyone for the things that they've done. But we do need to look at what power we give authorities, our own power that we give authorities, you know? So when the external world feels unstable, don't try to find a flawless leader. Strengthen your own center. Breathe differently when the chest tightens. Slow before reacting. Ask yourself what you're feeling. Name it. All of it's valid. And none of it requires panic. You don't need perfect leaders to be steady. You need clear boundaries and a willingness to trust your own body's feedback system. Okay, so you're not alone. There's a lot of people that feel really rocked right now, me included. So this is what it feels like when collective authority structures wobble, right? But it's also what it feels like when individuals grow up internally. It's like a journey that we go on where we come out of our baby minds and we realize that, like the things that were outside of me are not controlling me. They're not, they're really not controlling the world. They're really not controlling me. I have some sort of power in this, right? When we stop outsourcing our certainty, when we reclaim our discernment, and we allow leaders to be human without surrendering our own grounding. So take a slow, deep breath right now. Feel your feet. Notice your chest. Stability doesn't come from a personality, it comes from embodiment. And you can cultivate it. And your body is a steadier compass than any public figure ever, ever, ever will be. Thank you for tuning in and dropping in with us today. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. I really want to hear your feedback. Visit heathergrzych.com. That's Heather, GRZYCH.com. And meet me here next time on The Wisdom of the Body.